right, everybody, here's time for something a little bit different.
Hey, y'all know who it is. It's your favorite concerned correspondent, the Gov here.
More votes can shift and transform our nation.
Governor feels pain. He's a human. You know who it is and what it is. It's your favorite concerned correspondent, the Gov here. I'm excited to bring you this week's episode of the Concerned Citizen Podcast, where we sit down with Becca, the Wolf Lady. Find out a little bit more about her and why they call her the Wolf Lady. And most importantly, hear what her concerns are. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, here on the Concerned Citizen Podcast, we speak freely. Y'all know who it is and what it is. It's your favorite concerned correspondent, the Gov here. I am sitting down with none other than, I like to call her Becca the Wolf Conservationist. Is that right?
Sure.
I didn't want to say Becca the Wolf Lady.
You can say Becca the Wolf Lady.
I like that.
Okay.
That's like,
the
Wolf Lady, hear me.
Ow.
There we go. It's an honor to have you here. I'm so thankful for you to stop by and be able to sit down with us and share your concerns. So as we always do, make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on all the social media. If you find something interesting that you want to talk about, make sure you drop questions and your thoughts in the chat. But again, this is all about providing citizens the opportunity to speak freely to their concerns. And so it's all about creating that dialogue. So with that being said, as we ask everyone starting off, if the listener, the viewer could not see you, how would you describe yourself to them?
It's a really good question, and I have to tell you, ever since you sent me that original email with that question, I've actually been thinking a lot about it. So first of all, how would I describe my appearance? I try and dress like a pinup model.
I can see you're successful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, I do. Like the hair curls and the pearls and the heels and the high-waisted skirts and stuff like that. And first of all, I do that just because it's me. It's who I am. And I like the way that looks on me. It makes me feel powerful and intelligent when I give these talks. But actually, I have to tell you, there's another reason that I dress. There's a lot of reasons I dress the way that I dress. And part of it is hiding my past. Part of it is because I work with a really controversial topic, wolves, and so I go into rooms where people are already against me. And so this is my armor, so to speak. I mean, my war paint, seriously, that's how it feels to me.
I like that. And to be able to see you and understand your passion, but also the appearance, it's that deadly hand in the velvet glove type of thing. So
Thanks.
I can see how serious you are, but you are you look very nice. So,
I also have to get people to look at me for 45 minutes to 2 hours. So I try, look at me. So.
Quick question. So is your hair more brownish or reddish?
It's definitely brown, and I was actually born with no hair at all until I was 5 years old, no eyelashes or eyebrows or anything at all. And so I've literally never cut my hair. I mean, I've trimmed it, but yeah, so it's just brown.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you so much. I wish I was a redhead.
You kind of have that redhead feel.
Like vibe, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So, is there something that you could point to that happened to you or that you witnessed as a child, maybe even encountered, that kind of really shaped how you see reality now as an adult?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I've had to really think about what I was going to say. And everybody sees something that messes you up when you're an adult or whatever, but for me, I had 2 loving parents.
Right.
We never struggled for, I'm not going to say I grew up wealthy because I definitely did not, but, I never wanted for necessities. My parents still to this day are married and they love me very much. And yet, I had everything set up for me. I was good in school and like I have naturally good teeth. So I was a pretty kid. I mean, let's say it out loud, and so I had everything going for me, but for whatever reason, from as long as I can remember, my earliest memories are of depression, and I don't know what was wrong, but I remember being so young that I still believed in monsters, like that monsters were going to eat my toes if I like tucked them off the edge of the bed or whatever. So I was very, very young, and yet I stayed up all night long. And I don't mean like I had trouble falling asleep. I mean, I went through the horror of being alone for hours and hours and hours. When you're alone at night, it's the worst feeling in the world, especially for me because I got traumatized, right?
Right.
I mean, until the sun came up. And my parents, they loved me, but they weren't equipped to deal with childhood depression. I mean, who is?
Right.
I have no idea what I would do either. So I think that I know that childhood depression stuck with me until my early 20s. And this sounds kind of dramatic, but people would ask me about college, where I was going to go, or because I always had good grades. And it wasn't like I was thinking in my mind, I'm going to kill myself before I get to college. It wasn't like that was a conscious thought in my head, but the conscious thought was, oh, that's irrelevant to me. I don't need to plan for that. Or like when I would go to bed, it wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to kill myself in the morning. That sounds horrible to even say out loud.
No.
But it would be like, I can't do this again. At like 8, 9 years old, I cannot get back up again and go back to school or whatever.
And it wasn't nothing that your family...
No, genuinely no. I mean, there are factors for sure. My family, I grew up in an openly atheist family in the Texas Bible Belt, and I was in the same group of kids from like right after first grade to right before 12th grade. And and my teachers all went to the same mega church. So I was ostracized, and, they would go sing Kumbaya about how me and my family were going to burn in hell or whatever. And it's just ridiculous, but it really affected me as a kid. And my dad's a firefighter, and he did a lot of charity, and like he was in a motorcycle group that does charity, stuff like that. And so he was very openly atheist and a community member. And so, that's my dad's name is Rebel, by the way. Nothing to do with like the Confederacy. I always say like he's not racist, okay? No. Not racist, but you're Rebel's daughter. That's what I got a lot. So I didn't make friends. I was a little weirdo, and I grew up in DFW, which was not authentic to who I am as a nature lover. So I think all that combined might have explained a little bit of what was going on.
And so you kind of tapped into whether or not you had any questions of like thoughts of hurting yourself, which is something that you said you kind of grew out of. Now, as you became an adult, was there something that happened to you or that you seen or you experienced as an adult that really kind of shaped how you see reality now?
Definitely. So I definitely have 2 big answers for that. Obviously, the first one is wolves, right? So we're going to have to come back to the wolf thing. But also, my early childhood depression pretty rapidly turned into early experimentation with whatever drugs I could get my hands on. And then I didn't get sober until I was 21, 22. Honestly, I can't remember what the day was because that's what those kind of drugs do to you. So there are large swaths of my life that I literally don't remember. People come up to me, not now because I moved to Colorado, but they would say, Becca, oh my God. And I'm like, I've never seen you in my life before. So that, I really had to make a decision if I was going to be alive or not. Right. And I ultimately, long story short, chose to be alive. And that choice to be alive has made me more powerful than most people, I think, because I have a perspective of what I want. Because I didn't just get born and now I'm just living my life.
Right. I
made a choice that I was going to do something, that I was going to get out of this. And I did eventually, with the help of my loving family.
Okay.
Of course. In fact, I called my mom when I got arrested. And it was such, I won't get into that. It's so awful to get arrested, especially in America. And I called my mom And I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. And she just said, honey, your father and I did things that were 10 times worse than you. We were just lucky that we didn't grow up in an age of cameras and social media. We were lucky we didn't get caught. And we are here for you, and we're going to support you and get you out. So that had a lot to do. The love of my family is the only, and the love of my friends is the only reason I made it out alive. Honestly. I mean, I can say it was a choice, and it was. But most people don't have the love in their life to follow through with that decision. From being an addict to going through with recovery.
And I was going to ask you, was there a religious component to it?
No,
or it was all just...
Not at all. I mean, well, okay, I'm not religious, right? So God is like never going to be my thing, but sometimes people ask me if I'm a faithful person. Do I have faith? And I would argue that I have a lot of faith. I have faith that we actually can save this planet. Otherwise, I would not be doing what I do. I have faith in other people. I have faith that humanity is good. So while it wasn't a traditional spiritual experience, I definitely chose trees and grass and animals over death. I mean, for me, the sun is my God. And that sounds crazy if I say it out loud like that. But for me, nature is God. And I drew reserves of strength from nature as someone would through their church or whatever.
So like when you're out in nature, you're like almost at a sense of peace, like you're at church.
More so. I mean, church always made me feel really unsafe, actually. But I know what you're asking.
Yeah.
And for me, there's this, I guess, like exaltation in God, And I don't get that when I walk in a trail, but sometimes when I hear thunder, or when I look into the eyes of a wolf, it's like I can feel I have faith, even though I don't have a reason or logic to believe this, that we're all connected by some higher power. And for me, that's thunder and wolves.
Thunder and wolves. Did you grow up listening to that song, Thunder Rolls?
Oh, God, Garth Brooks? Are you
Yes.
kidding me? I know every word of that song. Yes, of course. I grew up in Texas. Of course I know Garth Brooks.
I just had to check, because like when I think of thunder and I think of wolves, for some reason that song comes to mind.
That's about a man coming home after cheating on his wife, though. That's what happens in that. The thunder rolls, like their relationship is breaking apart. Yeah.
Huh.
That's a great song, though.
I'm gonna go home and listen to that one. So, in your journey, did you ever find yourself houseless?
I did, yeah, because I caught a felony. And so actually I am not technically a felon because I went through deferred adjudication. I'm actually one of the only people, if not the only person, to ever make it through deferred adjudication in the county that I was in. So yeah, they don't make it easy, obviously.
No.
The justice system is not about rehabilitation, it's about marginalizing people, for example, drug users. I got distracted thinking about, what did you ask me to make?
I asked had you ever been homeless?
Oh, of course. So when you catch a felony,
Right.
You can't rent an apartment, you can't vote, you're not supposed to own a gun. So I had like literally $100,000 that I had just been granted for student loans sitting in my account. And so I went from apartment to apartment to apartment, and I said, I will pay all 12 months rent right now. And they would take my application money, but then they would do that background check. And I mean, how many hundreds of dollars did I lose doing applications just to be told I couldn't live there? So I slept in my car a lot, and I got, I moved from house, bad situation to bad situation, until eventually I found a stable renting situation in college. And then I got married, so now I don't have to worry about it anymore. But yeah, homelessness is a very real problem for felons, even if you have the money. Yeah. And I just want to say what my felony was for.
Uh-huh.
Less than half a gram of mushrooms.
Oh, wow. Man, Texas don't play. And how do you feel now when they're trying to, like, make it medicine?
Oh, great. It should be legal. All drugs should be legal. Making drugs illegal does not save people. Obviously. Making abortion doesn't stop it either. Making abortion illegal doesn't stop abortion either. It just goes underground. Duh.
I'm still thinking about this whole drug thing. But I'm also just thinking about when we make things illegal, that's your personal choice. When does that actually strip away from the concept of freedom?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I know the war on drugs was a war on the American people, so that sounds like freedom infringement to me. So, and I'm not saying that America's ready to have drugs be legal. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm saying philosophically, all drugs should be legal.
But I think America wrestles with some issues that cause us to want the drugs. And I think it's some cognitive dissonance or whatever. But
definitely.
Now, with all of that being said,
you
had the experiences of the feelings you had internally as a child. As an adult, you experience the justice system, you experience the choice of wanting to not just be alive, but be somebody. Because I think that you're doing more than just surviving, you're living with a purpose. Mm-hmm. So with all that being said, like where do your concerns lie now? What are your concerns?
That's a huge question.
And I like to give people three broad topics, but just thinking about, whether it's locally for you, I would understand that your passion would be wolves, but is that concern about wolves and what's happening to them linked to something bigger? And I mean, like, if there's something that keeps you up at night, something that you would be concerned with outside of course, your household, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, wolves are definitely it for me. I've loved wolves since I was a little girl, and then in college, we all, you know what popcorn is? Mm-hmm. You know popcorn? We popcorned Thinking Like a Mountain by Aldo Leopold. Thinking Like a Mountain, Aldo Leopold. If you've never read it, it's about 2 pages long, and we all cried our eyes. I don't cry in public spaces. We all cried our eyes out, and it changed the trajectory of my life to fight for wolves. And ever since then, I can't stop. And I eventually got a job at a rescue where I got to be really, really close with wolves. Not physically close, that sounds bad, but I was in those enclosures with those wolves, and I got to know them. We would wrestle and they would kiss me, and it really radicalized me because I learned in my body that these animals were sentient. If you think your dog is smart, like, those wolves are so much smarter than most people, if you ask me.
Right.
I forgot what I was talking about.
Have you ever formed, of course aside from your husband, have you ever formed a connection with humans like you have just with wolves?
That's a good question. So you have to understand that my religion is nature. And if you take that metaphor further, the wolves are my angels. And that sounds a little weird when you say it like that. But so for you to ask me, like, do I have a relationship with another person? No, not at all. Because, there are people I would die for, but not because I believe they're angels in a way. Yeah.
But you would die for wolves.
I would, yeah. And in fact, this is crazy, but it did just happen. I'm not going to explain all the politics behind it. You can look it up if you want to. I'll give you the basics. So Brian Nesvik is the Trump-appointed director, whatever his title is, of U.S. Fish and Wildlife. This guy named Greg Lopez, who, by the way, is running for Colorado governor, by the way, and the Cattlemen's Association got together and wrote Brian Nesvik a letter that said, we're real mad at y'all, so if you want to fix it, you better come kill all the wolves in Colorado. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what they said. And this was a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago. And so Brian Nesvik and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service wrote Colorado Parks and Wildlife and said, and again, I'm paraphrasing, y'all better prove that you didn't do anything wrong or we're going to come in and kill all those wolves. That was a really scary time for me because, and I don't want to say too much on a recorded line, right? But we got started thinking, how do we stop this? Literally, physically, how do we put our bodies in between these guns and these wolves? And the fact that it has to come to that.
This is like a movie.
It should be a movie.
Yeah.
It should be a movie. And I cried for a week and a half. But while I was crying, I was also making phone calls. And like, for example, thinking about buying megaphones to go out in where those packs are and scare those packs away. You know, like that's where I was.
Yeah.
It's a really scary time to be an environmentalist, especially a wolf advocate in Colorado and America today. Because you're asking me this question like, would I die for wolves? But I'm telling you, I nearly had to. I nearly had to get out there.
Wow. That's
crazy town. That's
crazy.
insanity. That is insanity. And why? Why are we at this point now? And I'm going to speak plainly, and I'm not against ranching, but ranchers have been subsidized heavily. They have exploited our land for far, far too long, for literally hundreds of years, and they've destroyed our wildlife in the process, and now their time's a-coming. And so we're asking them to coexist. We're asking them to participate in conservation, and some of them will. Many of them will. But there's a small number of ranchers that really are influenced by their own hatred.
Oh, wow. Influenced by their own
hatred.
And that it's unique because you would think that they would love their money more than what they hate, but
they're still making money by hating this thing. Like, for example, in lots of states, you are compensated for losses to wolves, livestock losses to wolves, but you're not compensated to livestock losses to coyotes. So I'm also a business owner. If I were a business owner and I didn't understand, I may also make the smart business decision to take advantage of that incentive. And so part of my job is helping to educate people to tear down those incentives of destroying our wildlife. And that systemic oppression of wildlife is so much bigger and seemingly insurmountable than I ever imagined. Because when I started this fight, I thought I would be saving individual wolves. And now as it's progressing over the past 6 or 7 years, I realize it's almost like you have to be a politician. You have to be a lobbyist. And I'm not a politician I'm just a biologist. You know, I'm not prepared for politics, but I'm realizing that it's not saving individual wolves. It's breaking down this oppressive system that we have.
Man, that is inspiring as a citizen to hear. And the reason why is because you're going on this journey to fight for something bigger than yourself, but it's like not a fight that you even want.
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
But your love
do this.
is taking you there.
My husband sees me get up and thank you to everyone who's ever said my presentation is good. I really appreciate that. But I think people think it's easy for me. But I'm awake all the time at night. And my husband sees me get up before dawn and I'm pulling in the driveway at 11 o'clock, all the time. And he asks me, well, how do you do it? And sometimes I get mad and I say, because nobody else will. Because nobody else will. I don't want to do this. I just want to live my life and run my business and hang out with my dogs. I don't want to do these super stressful talks and talk to people that really don't like me and get threatened myself because I'm a wolf advocate. But I refuse to give up. I refuse. Because if I don't, nobody else will. There is nobody on the side of wildlife. Not Democrats, not Republicans, not rich people, not poor people. It's just me. It's me and my team.
Now, do people that's working like you're working to save wolves, do you work with another group that's working to save a different animal?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So there is community within conservationists?
There is, but part of the problem with wolf people, and all wolf people who may hear this, I love you, but wolf people are bitey, like wolves, seriously, and we're very emotional, and we have really, really strong opinions, much like wolves, really. And so there's lots of groups, especially with wolves, that won't come together because of personal differences or very slight philosophical differerences. Like, for example, I do not believe there is ever any scientific reason to hunt wolves, ever. They control their own populations. I'm not going to get into that. But other groups they're a little bit more giving on the wolf hunting. And so I personally would work with someone who believes that maybe there might be a scientific reason to hunt wolves, but I'm a lot more flexible. A lot of people in the wolf community say, no, I will never work with you again. So that's a major problem with wolf conservationists, for sure. Kind of a funny story. There was this wildlife symposium, and it was full of wolf people, and all the wolf people were all social. We're all, all like wolves are, exactly like wolves are. And there's this one guy in the corner. I said, "What's up with that guy?" And she goes, "That's a bear guy." He was off in the corner. So it's kind of funny.
I kind of feel like, I don't know why, for some reason, for the longest time, I thought that, like, bears and wolves should be related, but...
Nah, well, I mean, we all have a common ancestor, so I guess they're both mammals, but yeah, totally different.
Like, I love wolves. Quick question. I think I may have asked you this.
That's okay.
But just for the record,
Yeah.
here in Colorado, they have a wolf. What is it called? The place up in where you can go visit the wolves. It's like a wolf refuge.
In Divide?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center.
Yeah, they won't let me come there because I got dreadlocks. Why is that?
Oh, I'll tell you why. It's a really good reason, actually. So we can get you a wolf interaction, by the way. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll get past that. But it's because, and even when I worked with the wolves and I had a braid, I would always braid my hair this way instead of going back because it looks like a chew toy. And they will grab it and they will rip it off of your skull.
Oh, shit. Hell no.
So that's why. It's a good reason.
Like, it's so funny, too, because in like, talking to you, you seem to, like, answer so many questions in one
Like, you
answer.
get more questions?
Well, no, you just answered them in just one question. But what I think is so unique is, like, listening to it, I just wonder, were some of the things and feelings that you experienced when you were young, did it just set you up to build this connection with wolves?
Because I didn't have friends growing up, I literally wanted to be like my dog. And I still actually do want to be like my dog. So yeah, definitely it set me up to be where I am today.
Because you already answered the question of what would you fight and die for outside of your family, and that would be the wolf.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Any of the wolves I've rescued or worked with, or wild wolves. Yeah, because we've actually had multiple animals die at some of the rescues and zoos that I've worked at because people hate wolves so much that they will come poison wolves in your rescue and sanctuary. So I'm not threatening anybody, but
I'm okay.
you come for my wolves, I'm coming for you is what I'm saying.
I hate to do this, but I am, by nature of my works, like a racial theorist, so I just have to ask this question.
Yeah.
If you were to say there were 10 poison incidents,
Okay, yeah.
how many of the 10 would you say the likelihood they would have been caused by a person of color?
Look, I grew up in Texas with diversity, so I tend to trust people of color more than... That's kind of terrible to say out loud,
but because I'm sitting here thinking, and I'm like, I know a lot of bros, man, and like I just don't know any bros that got enough time on their hand to sit back and say, yo, I don't like this animal.
Yeah. That God made.
God made.
Right?
I'm in Texas. I love God. But God made this. And I'm not going to figure out a way to poison it.
I don't know how to answer that question, but my gut tells me, you know what my gut tells me. Yeah. But I will argue that environmentalism is very much a racial issue. Because black people have all the poisoned land in America because the reverberations of history have given black people the shittiest land, given minorities the shittiest land. And so people of color have more health problems in this country than white people do. And a lot of that has to do with the history of being pushed onto crappy land.
Damn, and
that's just one tiny example of how because what is my fight? To keep people from exploiting the land. Right, because there's a lot of money to be exploiting the land, but there's as much money potentially to be made exploiting people of color, exploiting women.
But
So
philosophical question real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think that you can actually change something that is into something that you want it to be? Because just listening to you, the West super exploited the land. Like, they just shot buffalo just for the fun
and the
of
wolves.
it.
And the wolves. The bison alongside the wolves, the same.
Like, so if that was from the beginning, if treating people of color and women have been the way that it is from the beginning, can we expect to change it, or should we look to try to collectively create a new? And this is all philosophy, not real life.
That's a good question. I have no idea. I have no idea how to answer that. I think it probably depends on specifically what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, if there was a message that you had for the people, what would it be?
Well, I guess I'm going to give my 2-minute speech on wolves, basically. Thank you so much for asking me about myself. I was pretty nervous to talk about myself instead of wolves, actually, but thank you for being kind. But now back to wolves.
Back to wolves.
So wolves arrived here something like 5 million years ago in North America. People arrived here something like 20,000 years ago. So wolves are very much native. That is the definition of native. They evolved here on this planet, and they are native to Colorado. They are absolutely necessary to our ecosystems. That's why we call them a keystone species. Without wolves, we have far too many herbivores. Those herbivores can eat up so much vegetation that the ecosystem literally crashes. Now, again, this is my 2-minute speech. I have a lot of details to back this up. I have a lot of science papers, decades of rigorous science to back up what I'm saying.
Yo, if y'all don't know, here in Colorado, like the deer will like walk and eat your, like they just walk in the front yards of people's house, like they're everywhere, and they like run the town. So I could definitely see how just an abundance of these animals could crash the ecosystem.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what we saw in Yellowstone National Park. So wolves are actually one of the most well-studied animals in the entire planet, partially because of what happened in Yellowstone. So long story short, we did not have wolves in Yellowstone for about 70 years because humans purposefully eradicated them from Yellowstone. And in between that 70-year period, we saw the ecosystem crash. We literally lost rivers, which meant that we lost the beavers. When we don't have beavers, water quantity and quality goes down. Songbirds left, bears, elk, deer starved, left the ecosystem. Since 1995 and 96, when we reintroduced wolves into Yellowstone National Park, an innumerable number of species have returned, including the rivers. And that's not only because of wolves, but it is largely in part because of wolves. So what does that have to do with Colorado? We are seeing the same things that we saw in Yellowstone here in Colorado. For example, the extreme overpopulation of deer. In fact, Colorado has more elk than all the states that surround us combined. And side note, for everybody mad about us reintroducing wolves, y'all got to know that we also reintroduced elk. Fun fact. So we absolutely need wolves here in Colorado. And not only do we need wolves for our ecosystems, but also wolves need wolves in Colorado. Because right now, in the Northern Mountain Rockies especially, we are exterminating wolves yet again. So we've lost over 25% of our Yellowstone wolves in the past 3 years. We have lost thousands in number. We used to have about 5,000 in the Northern Rockies, and humans have killed enough to bring their numbers down to something like 2,000, 2,500. And before Europeans, we had something like 2 million wolves on the landscape at one time. After eradication in 1960, we had about 300. Today, we're looking at really roughly several thousand, definitely less than 10,000, maybe 6,000 in the United States. So we need wolves. Wolves need wolves here in Colorado. We cannot continue destroying our wildlife. First of all, because it's wrong. And wolves and other wildlife deserve to be alive, but also because, and one of my specialties was environmental economics when I earned my ecology degree, it's going to start costing us a lot more money to pay for the exploitation than we're going to get through the exploitation. Mm-hmm. And poor people and people of color are going to suffer first.
Do you think, that's a different question, I'm not going to ask it, but I wanted to go back one step here, hold on.
Take your time.
Dang it, I forgot now. Oh! Do wolves eat moose?
Do wolves eat moose? Yes, they do, but you have to remember that wolves weigh something, I mean, the biggest wolf ever recorded was 174 pounds, and that wolf had about 20 pounds of meat in its stomach. So wolves can weigh as little as 50 pounds and up to 150. A moose can weigh like literally over a ton. Right? So wolves don't go after the biggest, strongest, healthiest moose. They go after the sick, the weak, and the slow, which when we do not have wolves, that means that ungulate, like moose, deer, bison, things like that, they suffer. They have more disease, they overpopulate, so that means many of them starve. Ungulate herds, like bison, moose, and deer, desperately need wolves to keep their populations healthy.
Yeah.
So yes, they do eat moose, but they're not going to eradicate moose, right? Like I hear about once a week that wolves decimate elk herds. They decimate. I don't know where these people learned that big word decimate, but it's not true.
I'm going to say this. The ecosystem needs wolves like the American government needs war.
Oh, God. Oh, God. I'm going to pray that's not true. Please.
Well,
in that situation, let's just break down and make it new, right?
Well, only reason why I threw that out there is because the things that you said, wolves keep the herd thin and healthy. And that's the same thing for America. That's the same thing that war did for us. It kept the herd thin, kept people that wanted to survive alive. And now that we got Uber drivers. Everybody's Uber driver.
That's a really scary concept. I gotta say something. I'm not exaggerating. There is a war on wildlife. There is a war on wolves right now.
Yeah.
And what do I mean by war? I mean, we have opposing sides, right? Those opposing sides threaten each other sometimes. Bombs, they are exploding wolves in their dens now.
Oh, I agree.
They're the government threatening to come in and use their guns. How is that not a war?
It is a war. I would not say that this will happen to a wolf, so don't think that I'm a fool and I think this. But I do think aliens are coming. No. I do think...
You got me.
As funny as it sounds, we're going to just go a little conspiracy here, but I do think that when the truth comes out about extraterrestrials and Americans, it's going to make so much more sense. Because I do think that when animals see different types of Americans, they don't see the same thing. I've been out in nature and I've watched how certain animals see a certain group of people and then run. And then I would walk by and then they just look at me like, "What's up, player?" And I'm like, "What's up, player?" It's like I'm not there to hurt you. I respect you. I respect that this is your place. If I need to move, I'm going to move. But it's not, I don't sense that they are afraid. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that goes for every group of people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does totally make sense, yeah.
So I agree that I do think that there is a war, and I think that the war is rooted in the same group of people that have had a war against everything else, whether it's a war on people of color, a war on women, a war on drugs, a war on illegals,
or wildlife.
A war on,
It's still the same group of people that are killing wolves as it was 400 years ago. So you're exactly right. It's the same group of people. It's the feds teaming up with the livestock and hunting industry. And I just got to say, my husband comes from a ranching family. I proudly come from a hunting family. And any organization I'm associated with is not anti-rancher or anti-hunter. But when you look at the facts, that's what's happening.
It's killing. We have a killing thing here.
It's rough.
I just want to say it has been an honor.
Oh, thank you so much. No, it's been my honor, really. Thank you.
And again, is there one lasting thought that you would want to leave with people, whether it's wolf related or just something, a piece of food for thought that you would just want to share? Is there anything?
That's a bit. I wasn't expecting that question. Let me think about it for a second.
Me, I'm always like, teamwork makes the dream work.
That's a good one. Teamwork makes the dream work. Walt Whitman, the poet Walt Whitman, is my favorite quote. I am no less than a blade of grass. I am no less than a blade of grass. Because a blade of grass encompasses the power of nature. And so for me to pretend that I am superior to a blade of grass is not the truth to me. So I am no more and no less than a blade of grass.
Man, that's a humbling thought to have. No less than a blade of grass. That's only if you actually have real grass. Oh, that is the last question. I do want to ask you one question.
Yeah,
and you are on the record for this.
Okay. I'm ready.
Do you have a yard?
I do have a yard, but my husband's a farmer, so we're growing native edible plants in it.
Do you have grass?
A little bit.
Do you water it?
Sometimes, but we're really just watering the food.
Okay.
So, no.
Okay.
Because I know how much water, it's like 80% of our water is used for agriculture, which includes watering our lawns. That is insane.
And that's why I just wanted to ask it, is just, are people such as yourself even drawing the connection of, I see that there's no snow on the mountain, so I'm not going to water my grass?
It scares the hell out of us. Yeah. Scientists are really scared right now because we're losing biodiversity at a rate that we're losing plants and animals at a rate that we can't keep up with. And we are all going to die if we don't fix this. Our planet is going to get raped until it's no longer functioning for us. And so we have to see those connections. When I look up at that mountain and I see no snow, that scares the hell out of me.
Can I ask you one last question?
Of course.
When you talk, do you see the globe as one world? Or do you see like America as a world and China as a world? So when you say the globe, like we're all gonna die, are you talking about Americans? Or are you just like not knowing what the Chinese situation looks like, but are you saying everybody, or are you just saying the group of people over here?
It's a really good question you've asked, because like we all know what an island is, but in ecology, an island could also mean the globe, right? Because an island's in the middle of the ocean, and the globe, the earth, the entire earth is in the middle of space. We can't get more resources. And so island ecology is really complex. They do all kinds of stuff with math. And so, this is a global island with a finite amount of resources.
So what happens, would you say what happens on Pikes Peak and Colorado's wolf population, can that affect the ecology in a different country?
I think it does affect the ecology in a different country. Absolutely it does. Yeah.
Huh.
We're all in this together simply because we exist on this planet together. It's difficult for me as an American to think about it like that, like the Americans and the Chinese have all got to get together, but we're all human, we're all animals on this planet together. Does that answer what you're asking?
It does. And I wanted to ask you because you're a scientist and you're a biologist, so I really want to kind of get an understanding of where we may be moving as a nation, because you said it. We're fighting nature. We're at war with nature. We are drill, baby, drill. And not to get political, but like the Chinese is leading the way in like electrical vehicles and renewable energies.
Yeah.
And just
we're going to fall behind. Yeah, I think
Drill,
Chinese
baby.
people have a lot better education, maybe, generally, than Americans do as well. So, I mean...
Man,
did I say it out loud?
Yes, and you're from Texas. Yo, pigs are flying and everything, man. A Texan said...
Yeah. I really do think they get a better education. Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
I mean, look, I made a kid presentation about wolves and I made an adult presentation and I'm not kidding you, I switched them. I took adult and I put kid, and I took kid and I put adult, because kids know more about what I'm talking about than adults do. Like when I'm in a room full of adults, I'm unless it's like at a college or it's other scientists, something like that, I say, okay, everybody, do we know what the term keystone species is? And all the adults are like, I've never heard that term before, And then the kids are like, yep, we learned that last week. Next. We're on board. So I don't know when you get so dumb as you grow up, but it happens fast. So one thing I'd like to leave you with is, what can the average person or anybody who's listening, what can you do for wild wolves? So the number one thing you can do is get yourself educated, follow us on social media, Google stuff. Also talk to people about wolves. You can also follow us on social media and make a donation if you would like to. If you'd like to get even more involved, it's really, really important to contact your representatives. Contact your senators. And I know that can sound scary, but public outcry and public communication with those representatives is the number one tool that we have to save wolves. So I am basically begging you to follow us on Instagram and do the things we tell you to do when it comes time to call your senators. Finally, get involved with the CPW Commission. There are 11 voting members who make a lot of decisions about wildlife here in Colorado, and they're called the CPW Commission. You can engage with them on engagecpw.org. And if you're nervous of what to say, contact us on Instagram or Facebook. We'll help you through it. Basically, just tell everybody you know that wolves are not monsters and that we need them.
Yes, and that is true. Wolves are not monsters, and we need them. But some Americans, I'm just joking. No, thank you. Make sure you follow up. We need, again, if you're sitting out there thinking about what type of community you can join, just follow the links. Join the chat groups. Follow them on social media and see where it takes you. I've been enlightened.
By this talk?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And I hope that you've been enlightened. I hope you have been enlightened as well. Becca, can they follow you on anything?
Yeah, so my name is Becca Sue. I'm an ecologist and I represent Colorado Wild. Our Instagram handle is Colorado Wild Wolves. You can find us on Facebook at Colorado Wild. And our website, which we are still developing, is coloradowild.net.
Get down with the wolf team, please.
Please help us. Help us.
Support us in this battle. And I know I have a lot of listeners that love or feel connection more with animals than they do people. So if you're one of those type, make sure you get behind this movement, because this movement needs a community and you can be a part of it. So with that being said,
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gov. I had such a good time.
make sure to like and follow us. Season 3, this is us, the Concerned Citizen Podcast. If you want to be on here, you want to let your concerns be heard, hit us up, follow us on social media, hit those buttons down below, and hit that link that Zach is putting up in front of your screen, and just show us some love. We love you. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Concerned Citizens Podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like button below. Follow us on Facebook on our Facebook group page, the Concerned Citizens Podcast. This is a place where you can meet other like-minded individuals, interact with guests, and request your spot to be on the show. Remember, the Concerned Citizens Podcast is a platform that gives you, the citizen, the freedom to speak to your concerns. Let's go. God bless.